everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Ask Valor Masterminds podcast, brought to you by A Advanced Septic Services and CR Gutters. My name is Galen.
And I'm Joe.
We're coming at you from the BD Local Studios in Tacoma, Washington. And today's guest, we have Andrea Pass on. Hello, Andrea, coming all the way from the East Coast in New Jersey. So we'll do a more formal introduction later, but I met Andrea in a networking group. And decided to bring her on. We want to get into the world of PR, so welcome.
Thank you. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Awesome. So Joe, for our new listeners and viewers, can you tell everyone how our Ask Valor Masterminds podcast came to be, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So it first started as a Facebook group page where we wanted to bring business owners together so they can communicate with one another and kind of help each other out in all aspects of business by giving each other, tips and answering questions. And so we thought, what a better way than to start a podcast to where we do just that, where we bring on different guest speakers and they talk about topics all related to business, everything from body language to, we've had stuff on neurotropics, social media, video content, all kinds of different topics. And today I'm super excited because I know a little bit about what PR is, but enough to be dangerous. So I'm super excited to have Andrea on today.
Awesome. So for our last episode, Joe, we had our first international episode. We had our first guest. She actually was from Canada, Renee Russo, not the actress Renee Russo. But what was one of your main takeaways from when Renee was on our last episode?
Sure. So there was a lot of good information that she covered, and we didn't even really get into too much of what she did. But there was a couple things that she focused on. One, when you build a business, you should be focusing on 3 areas of your company: culture, accountability, and roles. And the thing that struck out to me about that was the roles, because sometimes as a company progresses, the roles within the company need to change to better the company. And the second thing really is when you hold company meetings, everyone should be a stakeholder, meaning that everyone's views should be openly addressed in order for that company to grow.
Awesome. Yeah, the notes I wrote was, she said, be propelled by your purpose. So having like a good level of grit. And then why she's in business is because 80% fail in the first 18 months, like some businesses. So pretty staggering fact.
That's crazy. 80%. That's crazy.
Right. So cue image 3. Before we get started, Joe, can you share with our audience a little bit about our Valor Cares promotion we have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So what Valor Cares basically is we wanted a way to be able to give back to our community, both locally here in Washington and really nationwide. And so we came up during COVID with our hashtag Valor Cares promotion, where we give away 1 website build every single month. And from there, it's turned on to 4 website builds every single month. So a business owner, whether they have a website or don't have a website, they can go to a link, which is valormarketingllc.com/Valor Cares, and they can submit their information. And we have a committee of people that chooses 4 winners, basically 1 winner every single week. And then we get together with that business and build them a free website.
Awesome. Thank you. Cue image 4. Now we come to the part of our podcast, our Advanced Septic Pump You Up quote of the day. So I emailed Andrea and said, can you provide a good quote for me? And you provided one of your daughter's quotes. So I'll read it from John Mason. You were born an original. Don't die a copy. So why did you pick that quote, and why does that resonate with you?
My daughter had to find a quote back in elementary school. And when she found this, it resonated with her to the point that she uses it to this day. She's married, out on her own. And it resonated for me because so many people are trying to be a cookie cutter of something else. And I think we need to all realize what are we about? What's our purpose? And so we develop that throughout life, and it zigs and it zags and it changes throughout life. So it's important to be original, because when you're first born, there's all these babies. Everybody's a baby. Everyone eventually learns to be potty trained and to walk and to eat and to talk and what have you. But then it's what you do with that later that makes you an original. And I think originality is an important aspect of any of us in our personal lives and in our business lives.
So obviously for what you do, in public relations, like being original, the stuff you put out there will go in completely with what we'll talk about today and why businesses should think about that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you want to see what differentiates yourself from the other business and why you're part of the story as opposed to the other business. So I look forward to really diving into that and a little deeper with you.
All right, so we'll get right into it. Q image 5. We'll just move right into our CR Gutters Did You Know segment, and now Q image 6. So what is public relations? So a lot of our listeners, viewers, and Joe and I are listening to you intently right now. What exactly is public relations?
Public relations is creating your brand and getting the message out. Whereas other aspects of the marketing category have different needs. Advertising, you pay for something. Public relations, you're building trust because you're having outside media cover your story, interview you, quote you. So that is considered third-party editorial endorsement or earned media. In advertising, you pay for something and you create the message. And you know what that message is going to be, and it's going to appear on whatever newspaper on page 5 on Tuesday, or on a TV show this particular day of the week or this particular time. But in public relations, you have no control over when that journalist will be covering that information, when that TV segment or radio segment or podcast segment might run. But they are giving you that endorsement because they're taking the time to interview you or review your product or your book and include it in editorial copy. So PR is trustworthy and PR grows a brand. And many times public relations can be evergreen. So if the story isn't tuned to one specific event or date, you can reuse it on your social media today, in 3 weeks, in 6 months, next year. Because if it's copy and editorial content that could benefit others, use that public relations placement again and again and again. And that's how PR differs from advertising. And that's how PR should be part of any company's marketing mix.
So we've had different topics like with like video and everything. So like is online video on YouTube, is that PR public relations material that businesses can use? Does that fall into that purview?
In the way of looking at it, that someone else is interviewing you. So
Okay.
It's not content that you're putting together. It's content that someone else is putting together. So yes, put that up on YouTube. Make sure that's on your YouTube page, especially if you were interviewed on a TV show, on a podcast, on a video cast. So yes, but it's not original content. It's content being produced by someone else and including you.
So for our businesses out there, I know there are a lot of community awards or community like best hairstylists in this zip code, or are those kind of things that you would want to repost and reshare then, like those kind of things? Or
100%. I'm a big believer in awards. When you receive an award, make sure that you're publicizing that you received that award. So if that means writing a press release and having a picture of you holding the award or being presented with the award, and sending that to your local throwaway daily, weekly newspaper, to the business column in your daily newspaper, making sure that groups that you're on social media, putting that up on LinkedIn from a business standpoint. So depending on the kind of business you have, whether it's a B2B or a B2C business, use awards to increase that name recognition. And a side story, I won a Leading Brand Builders Award a few years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. It's still part of my biography, and it's still part of what people say, oh, you won this award, because it doesn't necessarily matter when you won an award. I mean, you don't want to put something that you won 20 years ago, but if it's more recent, you can certainly continue to use the fact that you won an award and you stood out. And I'm a big believer in awards for PR purposes.
Is there a statute of limitation of how far out or how long ago awards should be repurposed?
I think you have to use a little bit of your own sense of timing. But for instance, say you do video content for advertising and you had an amazing award you won for something that stood out, that everyone will remember you for, then don't stop using it. It doesn't matter if it was something that you did 20 years ago. If it's still memorable, keep that on your bio, keep it in the information on what you're doing. And it's great that you brought that up, Joe, because not related to an award, but I had many segments on the Today Show. I'm very active in the inventor community, people who invent consumer products and the companies that then market those products. And for years, I was able to get the Today Show to come to a convention that we ran and meet with inventors and do segments. And yesterday, I got nostalgic and I pulled up the segment from the Today Show and I put it up on my Facebook page, my business Facebook page. It was just a fun memory for me, but it also shows people that might be looking up things that I do. Oh, that's something that could be done. That's an idea. So reuse that information that's editorial on your social media.
Good stuff. Because I know as a company, the past 2 years, we've been in the top 2% of partner agencies that have helped businesses with get on Google and everything. So that's something we're really proud about as a company. So yeah, awesome stuff. So the next thing, Q image 7. So I found an article and it said some PR trends in 2021. So I want you to tell me yay, nay, what's the skinny. So this one right here. Events must be reimagined, and it is time to bring creativity to the table. So they're kind of saying, well, there's no in-person events. Now there's virtual events, different things. What is your thought on that?
Well, I'm going to do a kind of halfway yay, nay.
Okay.
Yes, you do have to think of it differently. You have to think of things virtually, visibly, but you also have to be aware of the fact that people might RSVP for your event and then not show, and then might say that they'll watch a recording, but may not. So you have to think that way in your planning of an event. What's the purpose of doing an event? Can you do something else other than an event to get PR coverage? So I think you have to think about the dollars you're spending in your marketing budget, putting toward doing an event, because some of these virtual event companies cost thousands and tens of thousands of dollars for them to put on a virtual event. And then I have a few colleagues and I got together and created a webinar series called Resonate to Revenue. And we're spending a little bit of money on Eventbrite and a little money on our Zoom, but we didn't hire an outside super expensive service. We created our own backgrounds. We created our own system, and it worked out really well. So I think about events and what the purpose of the event is before you spend the time, and also work backwards. If you're doing an event, you want to give yourself, I would say, at least 2 months to make sure you're planning it. Cross your T's, dot your I's, because that's an opportunity for you to reach prospective customers or clients by having an event, but having an event that has a purpose.
I would agree with that 2-month time period 100%, because we do the free Google workshops, and for events that we put on where we give people, like 3 weeks to 4 weeks notice, they tend to flop a little bit more. But when you give them an extended notice, they're more, I guess it gives them more reason, or we tend to have more people show up.
I agree.
And it certainly gives you the time to publicize the event and promote the event in enough time, because everyone's busy. And it was interesting, one of the colleagues that I work with who does virtual events, she does amazing virtual events for top tier companies. She said, do your event at the end of a month as opposed to at the beginning of the month, because people don't flip over to the next calendar. And then they might forget about it, that they signed up for it, and realize, oh, I can't do that. And that was a great tip that she gave me, because now I try to do events, in the middle of the month, the end of the month, but I try not to do them the first week of the month.
I like
Awesome.
that because we're gonna use that for our Google events.
Yeah, end of the month. So, um, yeah, that's great stuff. So, cue image 8, this last one. So, we need to create more experiences for at-home audiences. So now the work from home world, the new normal, virtual. What is your thought on experiences for at-home audiences?
I think at home is here to stay. I think that there will come a time that we do have some face to face events, but I don't know about you. I'm not going to be going to that huge crowded convention anymore where I go up and down the aisles. I'm meeting strangers. I'm shaking hands. I'm within inches of the person next to me because so many people are at those conventions. I just don't see it happening. I think that we have a new way of thinking. And in public relations, to create virtual reasons to meet with people or virtual things that will show people your product, your talk about your service. I'm working with an author right now. We're doing a variety of virtual book events where he'll be reading from his book, talking about his book. We have different audiences. The first one we're doing is a week before the book comes out, and that's to people who he knows in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So public relations has to be part of all of those events so that the local newspaper or the daily newspaper or the trade publication will cover it and talk about it. Bloggers and homegrown journalists are covering that information. And I think that's important with anything. So yes, virtual is here to stay, but traditional press still exists. Those magazines still exist. They might have more online content, but that gives more opportunity for your business, your product, your service, your book to be quoted. With so many freelance journalists writing stories every single day, because that's how they're making their bread and butter, people like me have an opportunity to pitch my clients to those media outlets. So while things have changed and things are virtual, some things have never changed. And traditional public relations, which is what I do in Andrea Pass Public Relations, that stays and that's still here. And those opportunities are open to any kind of local, regional, national, or international business.
So would you say in like 2021 and moving forward, since there are more independent writers and everything, is it harder for you to find those channels, to find different industries to get their, like get them interviewed or those platforms to be on?
Yeah, it's interesting. I call myself a PI in PR, that I'm a private investigator searching for new public relations opportunities. Actually, I had someone on LinkedIn who thought I was a private eye and wanted me to search for her ex-husband or something. And I said, no, I'm not really a private eye. It's just a term. But that it's a job of a good public relations person to find those opportunities. And you're constantly searching. And I think that we all learn something new every day, or at least we should try to learn something new every single day. So I'm looking for those opportunities to have my clients interviewed. I have a client who's going to be on a podcast that's about moms in business. I never knew about this podcast, but I was doing investigating, came across this. They have a great listener base. And now we'll probably get that booked in the next 2 weeks or so, because my client is a consumer products inventor and she's also a mom. So nice. I think it's really finding that. I had a client of mine featured on Black News Channel a few weeks ago. She ended up selling so many products from her interview on Black News Channel. As a matter of fact, the Wall Street Journal just ran a huge piece about the growth of Black News Channel and the number of cable networks picking it up. So, take those opportunities to get covered in a variety of different media. It's not all about the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and the Today Show.
Awesome stuff.
Interesting.
So now we come to the part of our podcast where we really get to know Andrea. So cue image 10. So I'm just going to read this, a successful PI and PR. We love that. So for over 30 years, Andrea has created and implemented public relations campaigns in a wide range of categories, including consumer products, lifestyle, B2B, education, health, wellness, fitness, beauty, food, authors, nonprofits, and more. Her company has expertise in national, regional, and local media relations outreach. She's proactively and reactively navigating our ever-growing 24/7 media world, which always changes. Her strength in relationships, coupled with her knowledge of ever-growing media-based results and securing top-tier targeted media placements to increase brand awareness, reputation management, and sales for established businesses and growing entrepreneurs alike. So formally, welcome. So glad to have you.
Wow, I'm busy.
So Joe, would you like to ask the first question to Andrea?
Sure. This is one I actually enjoy the most. So, Andrea, what are some lessons learned as an early entrepreneur?
You can't know everything. I've been in business for myself for the past 3 years, even though I've been in the public relations field for over 30, even though I like to think of myself as a lot younger than I am. But there are times that you do need to turn to other people and ask questions and learn. You can't do it all yourself. I wouldn't do my own dental work. I'd go to the dentist. So people should come to me when they're looking for public relations. And I know I had to go to other people. I had to go to a lawyer when I wanted to set up how my contract was going to be. I have an accountant that handles all my financials. So remember that you need to surround yourself with the right team.
Awesome. Next question is, what's the best piece of advice that you have been given?
Don't say you're sorry when it comes to business. There have been times in my career, I could probably count them on one hand, there weren't a lot, that I missed a deadline. It happens. We're human. But I'm not going to turn around and say, I'm sorry. I'm going to turn around and fix it. If something goes out, sometimes we hit send and we attach the wrong document because the two documents had similar names. Okay, it happens. Get in touch with the person and say, I'm sending you a new document. Because the minute you start apologizing for every little thing is the time that no one believes it anymore. So don't say you're sorry. Get the job done and get it done right. And if you can't get the job done right, don't take on the business.
Awesome.
I like it.
And then our last question, Joe.
Yep. Why is marketing your business so important?
Well, I'm going to change that around to publicizing your business is important because it keeps you relevant. You have to constantly be in it to win it. I know it sounds like a cliche, but if you're not out there staying relevant, growing your brand, doing new things, reaching targeted audiences or new targeted audiences, then no one's going to know about your product or your business or your service or your nonprofit or your book or what have you. So marketing is key. No one's coming to you out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How do you know what you don't know? Well, you'll know it if someone is marketing it, publicizing it, social media, and much, much more. So make sure public relations is part of that marketing mix.
All right. So cue image 11. So PR for everyday businesses. So before we close out, what are a couple of things that you could share to our audience? These are everyday businesses, entrepreneurs, some solopreneurs. What are some best practices that they could do to up their PR game?
Number one, make sure you have a great website with terrific images and information. You guys are the masterminds of website design. So I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I look at some people and their websites have a gazillion words on the screen. I don't know about you, but my eyes are starting to cross when I'm trying to read all of that in 12 different typefaces. So make sure you have a good website, and certainly, make sure you're using Valor marketing for your website, but also make sure that you have active social media pages, not to the point that you're posting 12 times a day. Post 3 times a week, but make sure it's relevant content. And in that content is public relations, press that has been written about you, an award you won, something that someone else interviewed you about or your business, a review on your new cookbook or your new pet gadget. Mm-hmm. So make sure that that's part of your social media. So if there's something you can do right now for your business, it's make sure that you have your website, you have your social media, and then if you can, hire a public relations person, because an outside PR person makes your company look bigger. And we all know perception is reality.
So what are some things then that a PR company does? So I'm a little Galen's way more knowledgeable than me, but I'm a little bit less. So for your average person, what does a PR company do?
So a public relations company is going to make sure that we are communicating your message to target audiences. So let me use an example. So if you have a product, let's say you have a new, a new coffee gadget. It's someone like me that's going to write a pitch. Press releases are a bit antiquated. So we write a pitch, we have the right images, and we as PR people are subscribing to databases and newsletters and private groups where we are finding out proactively who we can reach out to in the media who covers coffee gadgets, and then reactively reporters, journalists, bloggers who are looking to maybe feature a coffee gadget as a holiday gift, Mother's Day gift, Father's Day gift, apartment dwelling situation, coffee lovers, time of the year, whatever. Right. So it's up to us to do those things. So a PR person is out there pitching, placing all day long. And there are different types of PR people. There are people that are working on cause-related marketing, volunteer work, events-oriented speaking engagements, trade shows. And I miss those days that I did trade show support and had press coming to the booth of my clients and showing them products that my clients, have coming out at a trade show. But you as an individual owner can start doing some public relations for yourself by making sure your website is up to date, you're doing social media, and you're reaching out to targeted media.
Awesome. Because I know for some of our SEO campaigns quarterly, we do press releases as it relates to SEO, not to the level that you do it, but Joe and I have been asked this multiple times, when's it needed? So it was so good to have you on to share that, because a lot of people are kind of getting a website is hard enough for them, and thinking about everything else they can't even comprehend sometimes. So
right, and you certainly know that to increase SEO and the way that you're doing it with websites and other internet marketing is what's key. And I know that these companies that do these press releases, it's bumping the SEO, but for a short while. So that can't be the only thing you do. So don't rely on only one aspect. You have to kind of spread it out a bit and do a variety of aspects of marketing that you do and public relations, what I do.
Awesome. Well, we'll share your contact information with our audience. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to Andrea. I'm sure probably within the next couple of months, Joe and I will run into it and we'll refer you someone. But as we get to know that, it's good to have a referral source of someone we don't know yet. So thanks for being on. So
no, it's my pleasure. And certainly to offer to your listeners, I would like to offer them a free half-hour consultation if indeed they want to learn more about public relations. And you'll have my website up there. So I have an appointment thing on the website. So please, that would be wonderful, because it doesn't matter where you're located. You could be located in Washington State or Washington, D.C. or Texas or New York. It doesn't matter. I do PR all across the country.
Awesome. What a great offer, guys, gals, everyone out there, a free 30-minute consult. We appreciate that. So Joe, real quick, before we close.
Can I ask one more question? So when you mentioned reaching out to different target media, is that just like newspapers, or is there certain types of media that businesses should be reaching out to?
Definitely your trade publication for whatever business you're in. If you're a member of a trade organization, find out, do they accept bylined articles in their magazine or a blog post? So take the time to write those. But again, if you're not a writing expert, hire someone who is a writer to put that together for you. But there's a lot of things you can do on your own in the public relations field if you're not ready. And I think starting with trade organizations or other organizations you might be a member of is the best place to start.
Cool, thank you.
Awesome. So Q Image 3, our Valor Cares initiative. So for those business owners out there who are frustrated building their own website and trying to take care of that, Joe, touch a little bit again on our Valor Cares initiative, please.
Absolutely. So it's just a way for us to give back to businesses who are, like Galen said, maybe frustrated Maybe they have a website and it's outdated. They don't have a website at all. Maybe they're a startup company. Maybe they've been in business for 30 years and they just have a website that's just 10 years old and you can't make updates to it anymore. We love for you to visit our website, which is Valor Marketing LLC /Valor Cares. Submit your information, and a committee of people chooses one winner every single week. And we'd love to get some more free websites built.
Awesome. And on behalf of our sponsors, Andrea, thank you so much for jumping on from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. We have it covered. Everyone in between, showing the love. Free 30-minute consult. Again, thank you to A Advanced Septic Services and CR Gutters. My name's Galen.
I'm Joe.
Coming at you from the BD Local Studios in Tacoma, Washington. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks again.